Hey there, Stefano here. Yeah, I'm back. Alright, so today we're gonna look at classes. We're gonna look at classes in C++. So we're gonna use code blocks for this. So let's go right ahead and open it. Mine is open already, so I'm gonna just open it right here. So when you open code blocks, basically you're gonna see this screen right here. So what you gotta do is you have to go where it says new project, create a new project, and you're gonna pick console application right there, and then go next. Of course, it's C++. You choose C++, and then when you reach this step right here, if you're new to code blocks, I'm guessing you really haven't specified where you want to be creating your projects in. So what you got to do is just go to this button right here, and then just pick somewhere where you want to be storing your stuff. In my case, I chose documents, so you can just pick documents or something, and then just name your project. Just say classes 1. And just say classes 1. Okay, and then you're gonna go ahead and just say finish. Okay, and then you're gonna be met with this. Okay, so if you don't have this navigation bar right here where you see the classes 1 and sources, then probably your manager tab is not activated. So what you got to do is you got to make it active. So if you have something like this, just go to view and just pick manager, and you're going to have this. And if you happen to be lost and you find something that is totally different, just go to the left until you find the projects tab, and then just click projects, and then go to sources, double click main.cpp, and then you're going to be met with this, and then you can just remove this hello world stuff. Okay, so let's get to it. So we are going to look at classes. So what is a class? A class basically is a container which contains several encapsulated function members and data members which collectively work together to achieve a task. So that's what a class is. A class is just a one big container. So suppose we want to come up with a class which is going to have functions which are going to be called to display some sentences. So let us say we have a class called display stuff. So we want to come up with a class called display stuff, and that class is going to have functions which each are going to display different statements. So you got to come up with a keyword class, of course, and then we're going to name our class display stuff, like that. No spaces in between, remember that. Okay, and then curly braces, and then I'm going to expand this right there. So at this point now where we've reached, there's a little something called an access specifier. So what is an access specifier? An access specifier is an element in your program, especially in a class, which defines just how class members are accessed. Can they be accessed within the class or outside the class? That's pretty much what an access specifier does. And we have three. There's public, there's private, and there's protected. But in this example, we're going to start with public, and then as we go on, we're going to look at the private specifier, which is a little more advanced. So we're going to declare this as a public class. So you got to put your full colon right there, and then you're going to move on right there. So okay, so we want to come up with different functions which each are going to be called to display different statements. So I'm going to name this function print1 because it's going to print the first sentences, or I can just name it print first. Yeah, print first, and then because it's going to print the first statement. Yeah, and then I can come up with another function, and I can name it print second. Okay, so these are functions, by the way. Void functions. Void does not return any value. Okay, so let's say we want our first function to print, let's say what is it going to print? I love apples. Okay, I love apples. And then the second sentence is going to say the second function is going to print, let us say, she is tall. Yeah, I know a certain girl that is very tall, and I'm pretty sure she's watching this video. Love you, Annie. So having done that, we have a class which has two member functions right here, which have all been declared as public, of course. So we have a function called print first, which is going to display I love apples when it's called, of course. And then, ooh, that's not how to spell tall. Okay, and we have a second function called print second, which is going to display the second statement, which is she's tall. So how do we now call the functions? Of course, you can never see what a function has unless you perform a little something called function calling. Function calling basically is just bringing forth a function so you can see what it has. But see, here's the thing, guys. In classes, you just can't call a function directly. You gotta make make use of a little something called an object. So what is an object? An object is a variable which has been declared as an instance of a class. What do I mean by this? You see, you cannot access members of a class without using an object. So you need an object which is going to connect you to the class. It's much like a key. You cannot enter a house without the key. If the door is locked, you can't enter it. So we need our object. So how do we declare an object? Remember, I said an object is an instance of a class. So what you gotta do first is you gotta get the class name right here. So the class name is display stuff, right? So the class name is display stuff. So I'm gonna type it right there. So display stuff. Okay, there it is. So display stuff, and then I'm gonna name my object now. So access. So the fashion in which you declare your class object is class name first. So you gotta get the class name first, and the class name is display stuff right there, and then you're gonna have your object right there. So this is the object name. So when you are using the object, this is what you're gonna use right there. So suppose I wanna print out what the first function is saying. So I love apples. So if I want to do that is I gotta get the name of the object, and I'm gonna type it right here. So I'm gonna say access, and I'm gonna say dot, and then see right there it shows me that there's two functions in the class. So I want to see what the first function is printing out. So I'm gonna say print first like that, and I'm gonna put my semicolon right there because that's C++ tradition, of course. And then I'm going to try running this program, and then I'm going to wait for the output. So you use an object basically when you want to see what the class has. So I said access to print first, and it showed me what the function is having. So the first function is having the statement I love apples. So that's pretty much that. If I want to see what the second function is having, so I want to call the second function, so which is print second, and then I'm going to compile and run. It's going to show me what the second function has. And what does it have? She is tall. Yes, you are very tall, Annie. Very, very tall. So right there, she is tall. Okay, so this is pretty much it for the introduction. This is just an introduction to classes, by the way, and there's more videos that are going to come because we have a lot to cover with classes. Object-oriented, very complex. We got a long way to go. We got to look at inheritance and that kind of thing, and finally GUI programming. Alright, thanks for watching. I want to see you in the next video.